Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining me for this video. I'm really excited to pass along this tutorial because it's a technique I've kind of been working with for some time now. It's sort of trying to perfect and decide what exactly is the right way to go about this, but it's a tutorial using only Q-tips. It's a Q-tip Smokey Eye, so you do not need a single brush, not even a sponge tip applicator. I have done a tutorial in the past where all I used was sponge tip applicators. Actually worked pretty well. So this is just sort of to prove to you and that you don't necessarily have to have a big bunch of expensive brushes to get a smoky eye look. I think Q-tips are actually an ideal product to create a smoky eye. So that's what you're going to need. You're going to want a few Q-tips for this, only a few, and Q-tips are very inexpensive, so it's really like no big deal. And what I would suggest though is to use the Q-tip brand Q-tips, and that is because the cotton that is wound around the outside of a Q-tips brand Q-tip it's wound a little less tightly. It's not quite packed on there so much. So when we do something where we're going back and forth like this, kind of smudging and smoking it out, see how the Q-tip sort of changes shape? That's what we want. That's what's going to allow us to blend in different ways, not only to apply the product but to blend it out, and then the Q-tip becomes sort of the equivalent of a fluffy shadow brush, if you know what I mean. So I know, kind of a strange concept. You may have to see it to believe it, but I recommend Q-tip brand Q-tips for that reason. This is a different brand that I've had in the past, and it just won't really work the same. You may still be able to get the look we're going for, but you may have to try a little harder to get it. I'm not exactly how you do it, but like for example, my Q-tips vanity packs did a contest for these. Those kind of Q-tips that come in there are good, and I believe anything that just says, you know, Q-tip is going to work for you. You also want to have a palette for this tutorial that is kind of like a monochromatic palette that's going to give you at least, you know, 3 or 4 shades that you can work with, and they're all going to be sort of in the same color family, ranging from dark to light. So a good dark shade and then up to a highlight shade. So the one I'm going to be using in this tutorial is my Wet n Wild Color Icon palette in Lust, which is going to give us a variety of plum tones. So just to show that, you know, you don't have to make it a black and gray smoky eye. You can do whatever you want. Other palettes that would be great for this look would be your CoverGirl Drama Eyes palette, because you're getting a nice black, you're getting some silvers, kind of a range of colors there. From Maybelline, the Stylish Smoke Squad, that's giving you, again, from black through to some grays and then a light shimmery color. And even if you wanted to go all matte with this, you definitely could. A palette that really blends like a dream is the Be Luscious Naturalist palette with deep browns and kind of lighter medium browns, sort of reddish browns as well there. So just to give you some ideas that this does not have to be black smoky eye. In my case for this tutorial, it is plum. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial. Just follow me through the steps. It may seem a little odd. It may seem especially odd the first time you try it, but you really will get the smudged out, kind of imperfected look that a smoky eye is intended to have. So if you want to see how I do it, keep on watching. First, I applied my Too Faced Shadow Insurance all over my eyelid, and now I'm going to go to my palette here, and I'm going to take the darkest shade in it. So in my Wet n Wild Lust palette, I'm going to be using this matte plum shade. So I'm going to take my Q-tip and basically just kind of get some of the product on there like that. And then I want to take that all across my upper lash line, and it's going to make for kind of a wide line that we're going to then smudge out. So if it helps you, like it helps me, kind of look down into a mirror. And again, this does not need to be precise. Just drag it all the way across, just like that. You should wind up with, like I have here, a big smoky it's not smoky yet, but a big thick line. And then take what's left on there and take it right underneath. So this is going to give you not quite the intensity you had on the upper lash line where that initial application happened, but you can see it, there's still quite a bit there. Now take that same applicator, that same Q-tip, and go up to your upper lash line and just blend this so you've got shadow sort of all over your lid, but still with the most intensity right by the lash line. You'll find as you blend with these regular QTips brand Q-tips that they kind of transform shape a little bit. The cotton on there is not so tightly wound, as I mentioned, that you know, it's not going to just remain a tight, hard tip. It's actually going to move with you, and that's what really helps the blending process here. So as you can see, now that I've gotten it all over the lid, I'm just taking whatever's left that I can get out of that and sort of taking it right to the crease there. And that's kind of what this is all about. It's not necessarily working with tons of product. It's getting an initial application and then just really buffing it out. And you can do that with a Q-tip. Okay, so now that I've got that there, I'm going to take the other end that has not yet been touched, and I'm going to take basically like one shade up from that. Not quite as dark as what we put on the lash line, but still kind of a deep shade. In this palette, I'm going to use this shade right here, which doesn't really come off quite as sparkly as it looks, but still kind of a deep burgundy plum tone. And once again, just kind of get a little bit on there. Sometimes it's nice to just sort of roll the Q-tip back and forth, and so you've got just an application like that on there, and we're going to take this to our crease. And you'll find that Q-tips, at least for me, fit really nicely right in the crease. So here we are just dusting some of that shadow right here. Not getting too crazy with it so we don't wind up with a bunch of fallout, but basically like you're just placing the shadow where you want it to go. You have a ton of control with a Q-tip. Okay, and now that I've got it on there, you can see I'm kind of going to the outer border of that. If you wanted to draw on a little bit of an outer V, now's the time to kind of take what shadow exists there on your eye and pull it outward just a little bit, whatever you're comfortable with. If this is your first time trying something like this with Q-tips, keep it kind of basic. You know, maybe if you don't feel like doing the outer V, just kind of follow your natural lash line like this. For me, I'm going to take a little more, same side of the Q-tip and everything, and go right to my outer corner here. And I'm just going to bring it up slightly. And then I'm going to just blend all that together. Okay, so now we've kind of got on a little bit of a rough outer V there, but I'm going to take, here's the side that I used for the shade I put in the crease. I'm going to flip it over because I still want that kind of, see how it's kind of fluffed out a little bit? I want it about like that. And I'm going to go to a lighter shade. This one happens to be a little more pink toned, but just a lighter shade of whatever you just used previously. Get a little bit of that color on there. And I'm going to overlap the outer border of what I just put on. And just going to a lighter shade of what you just used is going to, in itself, provide sort of a blended look because we're just fading it out from darker to lighter, so it's not going to require necessarily a whole lot of work to make that look happen. Also taking that lighter shade just a little bit below, I'm kind of surrounding any sort of outer V I just did there, and in turn you are going to get a more blended out look there in the outer corner. If you want to sort of clean up the outside of your look, that's something we traditionally use a Q-tip for, and what I would recommend is getting a fresh Q-tip that has not been sort of, you know, undone like these other ones, and just apply quite a bit of pressure to your eye, and you're going to get more of an edge to your look that way. So that can kind of clean up, you know, anything that you've got around the bottom that's not exactly how you want it. And then if you want to continue to buff it out and get the effect of, say, a more fluffy, you know, blending brush, just take your Q-tip and do long back and forth strokes, and your Q-tip is going to end up loosening a little bit for you and give you a more blended out effect. You can see how that is giving me a really nice blend there on that pinkish purple shade. Okay, and then next we're going to do a little highlight, which is very easy. I'm going to take the opposite side of what I was just using that for to blend it out. Going to go to this light pink shade right here. It's a matte color. Just rolling it in there, and very easy step, just place it where you want it. I'm going basically directly under my brow, kind of highlighting the shape of the brow, but also giving me a nice contrast to all the darkness there. Next, I would say grab either a new Q-tip. I'm not sure if you've been switching out Q-tips quite a bit, but I'm going to just grab a fresh one here. What nice thing about Q-tips is they're super inexpensive. I'm going to take a light shimmery white shade that's in this palette, just dot it on there, and this is how you can use a Q-tip just for detail-oriented stuff right around the tear duct area. Sometimes I use a little brush for this step, but I almost always say you can use a Q-tip here too, and here's how. You know, it's just like you're coloring on a coloring book or something. You put the color right where you want it to go, and it's basically very simple like that. Then I'm going to take that Q-tip, get a little bit of that light pink shade right on there, and I'm actually going to dot that right in the center of my lid, because I like to, even though this is a dark smoky look, I like to maintain a little bit of brightness. It's going to help the eye pop a little bit. So just go right to the center of your lid and then blend right across it. It's not going to be a drastic thing, but it's just going to light up the eye a little bit. Now for the first non-shadow, non-Q-tip step, I'm just going to take a black liner and line my waterline. I'm using Milani, the Milani Liquif'eye pencil, just a really soft, black, easy to use liner. And just lightly tug down on your waterline and apply that just like so. I feel like when you do that, you just really get that intense smoky look because you've got so much darkness right in next to the eye itself. So next I'm going to curl my lashes. I'm going to apply the Sephora Lash Stretcher Mascara. This was from my Lash Stash kit. It has some really long microfibers, so it's going to give us really nice length on the top. And then I'm going to do a little bit heavier application than usual of the Maybelline Lash Discovery on the bottom, and then I'll join you with the finished look. Alright guys, this is the finished look. I've got my mascara on there. I actually ended up topping the Lash Stretcher mascara with just some L'Oreal Voluminous to plump them up a little bit as well. They had great length, I just wanted them to be a little thicker. And then you can see how with the Lash Discovery, just doing a little more of a heavy application than I usually do with that really offsets a smoky eye nicely. I really associate the smokiness, the less precise liner with this look with lower lashes that are a little bit more fringed out, you know, a little bit more visible. I think that looks really nice. What else? With my lips, I used the Rimmel lipstick in Dusty Rose. It's the new Moisture Renew lipstick. So with that, we're looking at sort of a, I don't know, it is just a rosy mauve kind of color. It's a creamy lipstick. Put that all over my lips, and then just for a highlight in the middle of my lips, I use the Jordana Pretty Shine lip gloss in Cute, which is just your classic light shimmer, perfect kind of a highlight lip shade. So thanks so much for tuning in for this tutorial. Hope you at least got maybe the wheels turning for how you can try this look at home, and have a great day.